Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Capes and Lunatics Creator Corner. I am honored to be speaking today to world famous cosplayer Alexandria the Red. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
We're just a little behind because of technical difficulties for everyone who's going to be watching live. But, that's our fault. We scheduled this for Friday the 13th.
It's also my fault because I never do this, so it's new to me.
That's my fault. I should have been more clear, but yeah, I blame Friday the 13th.
Do it. Blame it on Friday the 13th.
I think so. All right, let's get into this. All right.
Awesome.
I have to say, I'm not just like blowing smoke. You must be world famous because I have spoken to like writers from Marvel and DC Comics. I have talked to people who are on TV shows, and I swear I mentioned that we were going to be talking. We got the most response when I said you were coming on the talk that we've ever gotten, I think.
That's crazy and very flattering.
You have your fans, hey.
They're amazing. Honestly, like I couldn't do like half of the awesome stuff that I get to do without my followers, so it's just amazing to be able to talk to them and stuff. So
all right, we'll jump in. I'll start where I always start. When did you start cosplaying?
I started cosplaying in like 2011, but I didn't quite know what it was. I went to go see Harry Potter with my friends, and we were like, let's dress up. And so I went to Goodwill and I bought a dress, and I painted it and like ripped it up and altered it. And I was Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. And it was like, we were bad. We made wands out of like sticks that we found at the park. Like it was like just budget cosplay. And so when we were at the movie, a couple people were like, hey, do you go to conventions? Do you cosplay? And I was like, wait, what? There's conventions for this? Like that's amazing. And so that was in July of 2011. And I made it a point to like research conventions. And I was like, okay, the next big one is WonderCon next spring. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. And I worked super hard on my cosplays for the next few months and stuff. And I went and I had such an amazing time that I was hooked.
And I think it was on your Facebook. I saw that you're a self-taught seamstress. Is that when that started, or was that before that?
I kind of dabbled. My mom has always been really good at sewing. She sewed her own wedding dress, and like she sewed a lot of Halloween costumes for us growing up. And so I would pick up like little tips and tricks, but I never really like got into it. I would like, oh, I know how to sew a button now, things like that. But once I started getting into cosplay, I was like, I think I actually want to be able to make my own stuff, because I was looking at people like Yaya Han, and I was like, this is incredible, like making something from scratch, taking a pile of fabric and turning it into a full costume. So I went and I took a class at like the continuing education college near me, and we learned how to make placemats. That was our big project. So that was how I learned to sew, was from that class. And then I supplemented that knowledge with YouTube, with tutorials, with information from other seamstresses. So it's kind of a big mashup of information that I've come to cultivate.
That's awesome. I've like I said, I looked at your Facebook and like all the social media, and it seems like you must love it. You have a ton of different outfits, it looks like.
I've never counted, but it's probably up there. It's definitely in the double digits.
Do you have just like a separate closet just for cosplay?
That's it right there. This is the office, so my husband and I share it, and he gets one half for his stuff, and then my half is just all the messiness.
You're like a superhero. You just have all those different like outfits.
Exactly. Yeah, I have my secret identities. Alter egos.
Speaking of, did I see your favorite is Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, definitely my favorite superhero, Spider-Man. Oh, I love your shirt. I like the little chibi one.
Yes, I'm a big Marvel and DC fan, and did I see you're are you a bigger fan of the MCU or the comics, or?
Probably the MCU, because that's what really like exposed me to it in the first place. The cinematic universe is what kind of spurred me to buy my first Marvel comic. So, I mean, I think that's pretty amazing. I think that's like a good reason that, or excuse me, like one of the main things about like geek culture becoming pop culture that I enjoy is like the accessibility. And so before I had dabbled in like fantasy. I was like a huge Harry Potter fan, Star Wars, Sailor Moon, that kind of stuff. So I'd never really like dabbled in like the comic book world. So being exposed to it just was this wide new world.
So are you reading any of the Marvel comics now, or is it some of the other companies? Or
I'm more into independent comics at the moment. I'm obsessed with Lady Mechanica. I absolutely love it. If you haven't checked it out, check out Lady Mechanica. If you like steampunk anything or just badass women or just amazing art, it's amazing. I think it's independently produced at the moment. And then I also love Rat Queens. Rat Queens is great. Very girl power.
and you're you said you were a fan of Star Wars. You must be super psyched getting Episode 8.
I am. Everyone keeps asking me if I watch the trailer, but I don't watch trailers anymore. They give too much away, and I love being fully surprised in the theater. I love not knowing at all what I'm going to see.
I know you either get like half the movie, or it's like, oh, wait, that was that scene. That's not the one I thought it was going to be.
Well, I got upset with the bait and switch from Rogue One because they had that awesome scene where I rebel, like that line that was really, really poignant from the trailer, and it didn't happen in the movie, and everyone was like, "Where did that scene go?"
That's what I hate the most, is when they put a scene in the trailer and then it doesn't make it to the movie. It's like, ugh.
Exactly. So I think with Civil War is where I stopped watching them because it gave too much of the Hulkbuster scene away, and I would have loved to have seen that, for the first time in the theater. But it doesn't really like, it's not like a spoiler for me or anything like that. It's just that I love that like childlike sense of wonderment that you get when you see something for the first time, and I don't like it being a secondhand experience.
So do you love the new Spider-Man? Speaking of Civil War.
I do. I think that they finally got Peter right. Mm-hmm. I always felt that Andrew's Peter was a little bit almost bratty. He was a little rude. Like they tried to kind of do the dynamic of like him, having that really like fun, like joking relationship with the criminals. But to me, it felt like bullying in a way, just from like the sarcasm and the just the vibe. I don't know. It didn't feel quite right to me. He would have played a great Harry Osborn, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, just Tom Holland is insanely talented. I mean, he comes from Broadway and just years and years and years of experience. So his acting talent is just insane.
And Tobey Maguire was supposed to be a high school kid, but he was like 40.
Yeah, that was like a weird time. Where people that was the thing though, like, when you watch shows like Dawson's Creek or whatever, they're supposed to be, young or whatever, and around that time everyone was 25, 26, even 30 playing teenagers.
Well, that's the good thing about I think the MCU is they plan out stuff so far ahead. They're like, well, we need he's supposed to be a young guy, let's make it a young guy so we can have him for 10 years.
And it's a lot of his appeal for me is that Peter's so young and like he's in high school, and there's a lot of things you have to deal with in high school. High school is a really hard time in anyone's life. And the fact that he's able to balance the challenges of being a teenager with taking care of an entire city and like having that weight on his shoulders, like he's Atlas, like he's incredible. And that's what I love about him, is that he's able to like take it in stride and do it with humor and like maintain his innocence almost. I mean, he's still a good guy even after all the stuff he goes through. So as you can tell, I really admire him.
Oh, I love Spider-Man too. That's like one of the ongoing arguments I have with one of my co-hosts. Hi, Charlie. He thinks Spider-Man's irresponsible. I'm like, no, it's quite the opposite. I mean,
he has more responsibility than anyone. I mean, it's incredible.
He has great responsibility. But
sorry, I'm just gonna plug my thing in so that it doesn't die on us.
Yes, I'm sure everyone's like, yeah, don't die.
I know, right? If I just, my screen goes black. Sorry about the sound. I can't have the headphones plugged in at the same time.
I know. I feel the pain of Apple.
Yeah. Technology is supposed to be easier, but I like the inter-device compatibility, but it's definitely a little annoying at times.
Mm-hmm. But you were talking about Star Wars. I'm trying to remember. Do you have any Star Wars cosplays like Rey or Leia or anyone?
I did the Hutt Slayer Leia like classic as I did that a while back. I sold it just because I felt like I got all the pictures that I wanted out of it. I did Mara Jade, my favorite extended universe heroine. I really hope. I know that they said she won't, but I'm hoping that maybe she'll make it into the cinematic universe. Maybe even as like a standalone film. I think it would be good.
So you sell some of your cosplays too with other cosplayers?
Yeah, I just throw it up on like Facebook groups and things like that, and just if anybody wants to. But I don't do commissions and things like that because I feel that sometimes people don't appreciate the value, I think, of a handmade, customized item. So
nothing better than handmade, quality. Rather than
I think that we're used to like the instant gratification of like, we can walk into a Target or whatever and all the shirts are under $20 or whatever. But when you're talking about, something that's been handmade to your measurements and, something that doesn't exist in, mass production, something that's a one-off, it's definitely going to be a little bit more. And I so appreciate the seamstresses that do commissions because it is a lot of work.
I know. I wish I had someone to make me. I would go to cons and stuff. I would love it.
Yeah, my husband always, he never asks me. It's funny, like he actually is a big supporter of people. He gets props made all the time, and he likes cosplaying too, but he's a perfectionist, and he's just like, I just know that I'm never gonna like anything that I make. And I mean, we are our own worst critic. I mean, I still totally have critiques over things that I've made, but I think that he likes supporting the local businesses and stuff.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple of pictures with him cosplaying. Does he have like Iron Man armor?
He had it for a little while, but as you can imagine, it takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
It was a huge box. But more recently, he got Thor Ragnarok foam build done. And what was really funny is we were at a convention a couple months ago, and he disappears, and he like comes back, and he's like kind of hiding this box, and I'm like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Nothing." And I'm like, "No, really, what is it?" And he's like, so we got this like replica, and it's actually like metal. It's very heavy and stuff. And I was like, "Why do you think I would be mad? This is awesome." But it was really funny that he walked back and he was like hiding it, and I was like, "No, that's awesome. Please do."
That's like movie accurate.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And like, I mean, I'll put it up on a shelf or something. Like we have like you're obviously a fan of like geeky interior design.
Yes. No.
Well, it's funny because like when like a delivery guy or like somebody comes in or like maintenance comes in to fix something, they'll just be like, "Wow."
I know. Just a couple weeks ago, I had the guy here upgrading my internet. He's like, and it's in here, and he's like, "Oh, you like comics and stuff?" I want to be like, "No."
Not at all.
Then he said he liked the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. I was like, "I'm done with you."
You're like, I don't know about that, but right. I mean, I can appreciate the first Fantastic Four, like the Jessica Alba one. I went back and watched it. It's not that bad.
The second one, that was the first date me and my wife went on.
Silver Surfer?
Yes.
I still haven't seen that one.
It's good. I mean, both of those movies are better than this last Fantastic Four.
Didn't see that one either, but I read a lot of reviews. The one thing I kept hearing was the bad wig continuity that they had. It was like scene to scene, they would have different hair because of the reshoots that they had to do.
That was the least of their problem.
Oh, man.
All right, well, we talked about Star Wars. Did I see you're also a big Star Trek fan?
I'm just a big fan of like the original series, definitely.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, I love the campiness. I adore it. I love the overacting. I love the bad sets. I love all of it. It's amazing. And just because, I mean, hearing from my mom, like, she was like, it was literally the first Black person she had seen on screen. Like, for that show to bring that level of like diversity and awareness to people, like, it was incredible. I mean, and for people of color to hold positions of power and positions of respect and stuff, that's something that people hadn't even really like seen on television before. And I just appreciate the diversity and like just the efforts to bring awareness, like, and I just love the show in general. Like, it's just so classic and like fun, and it like revolutionized like sci-fi.
But yeah, the sci-fi is fun, but yeah, just the social stuff, I think that's why it lasted so long. But
Right, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, like, and it was just so matter of fact, and like that's how it should be, like. And I love the costuming, like, just the hair, oh my gosh, all the beehives.
late 60s, yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And then Sailor Moon was like a big part of my childhood. My grandma, I didn't have cable, so my grandma would tape the episodes after school on Cartoon Network and then bring them over to me so I could watch them. And I would write, "Do not tape over the Sailor Moon." Oh, the old days.
Oh, no. I'm a little older than you. It was Transformers cartoon for me.
Nice. Yeah, I was born in 1992, so I'm still a little bit of a youngin'.
Yes.
That's why when people are like, "Oh, have you seen?" Like, they assume I've seen things because they think I'm a little older. But I missed like every big pop culture movie of the 80s, like, of course, because I wasn't around. So I've never seen The Goonies. I've never seen Ghostbusters. I've never seen Labyrinth. Like, all these big movies that came out in the 80s, which was like a renaissance for geek culture. Haven't seen them.
Wow.
I know. It's crazy.
That's your homework tonight. Go watch Goonies.
Like, I know this stuff, like, but I've never seen it.
That's one you have to watch someday.
I think that was one that I probably would have seen, like, if I had like an older sibling or something.
Probably. All right.
It's always funny because my husband will bring up stuff, and he was born in '88, and so he'll be like, "Oh, remember this?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, that's like me and my wife. There's like a little over 8 year gap between us. So it's like, how can you not see that?
They're like, "'Cause I was in 4th grade."
That's us, yeah. All right, I also see, I think it was on your Facebook, it says you love learning random facts.
Yes, oh my God. Anybody that knows me will tell you that I'm just like rattling off the most useless information. Like, I just love learning things. Like, I have like little books called like I think it's called like The Essential Book of Useless Information. But I find history so interesting. I just always love to learn, and I find history and like psychology and like why people do the things they do so interesting. I love period dramas. Like, I just love old shit.
Can you think of one or two that might, people would be like, wow, I didn't know that.
Oh gosh, off the top of my head. I mean, I like to slip them into conversation. Like, if we're like talking about something, be like, "Did you know that blah, 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 blah." I'm one of those people. Terrible. I could do like a random fact that people probably don't know about me.
Sure, go ahead.
I marched in the Rose Parade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was in color guard in high school. Yeah, so that was an interesting experience. Waking up at 4 a.m, and then the first like bit of it is really cool, and then after that, they don't show you that part on cameras, but people have been camping out there all night, and there's just like trash and like just, yeah, it's pretty. But at the very end, they had an In-N-Out truck, and so I was like, because my high school band was huge, we had 250 people. And so there was an In-N-Out truck at the end because they were going to feed us lunch, and we were so excited. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. I'm just like, okay, that burger, it's at the end, because it's like a 5-mile parade. I mean, and when you're marching, it's very slow and steady, and then a float breaks down in front of you, and then you're just like, okay, Okay. But it was definitely once in a lifetime experience. So I've been in it once, and then I watched it from the grandstands once, and I'm good now.
See, and I thought you were nervous about coming on here. You've had how many people watching you in a parade?
But I was like a little dot in a group of many.
I told you the response we got. I mean, people love you.
Oh, it's nice to hear. I love them too. I mean, I really like interacting with you guys. I mean, and that's half the reason when I do conventions, I try my hardest to schedule if I do a panel at the end of the day, because I really hate when people come to my booth and they're like, you weren't there. And I'm like, oh, I had a panel or I had this or I had that. Like, I stay at my booth because I go to conventions is to be able to talk to fans and like fangirl with you guys.
I like hearing that. I mean, everyone. If Alexandria is at a con, go meet her, go support her, go.
Oh yeah, you guys like. Well, we can chat for like. I've chatted with people for like hours before. I mean, like, it's so much fun. I mean, that's why I'm there, like to just like hang out and like talk about our interests and just have fun.
Bring her random facts. Maybe see if you can stump her. Maybe she knows it. Maybe she doesn't.
Oh god, don't bring me riddles.
Not riddles, just random facts. Did you know?
I love random facts. Yes. That's why I like traveling too, because it's always interesting hearing about people's local stuff. When I was in Toronto, everyone was like, "Oh, did you try the poutine?" And I was like, "What is that?" And it's like a local. I guess they put meat on like fries. I think I'm totally probably explaining this wrong or whatever, but from what I saw.
I've heard of it. I've never had it.
Yeah, from what I saw, it's like really, really good, and everyone was trying to get me to try it, and I wasn't able to, but hopefully I'll be back so I can. But fun facts.
All right, and I see you're a gamer. What are you playing?
Oh, that's probably not updated. Honestly, no. I haven't had time in the last probably like year or so to even like touch anything. Like I think my major issue, like, I mean, I love certain games. Like when I play a game and I love it, I will play it to death. Like I've played Borderlands 2 like 4 or 5 times, but it's just, I don't have a lot of stamina. And that's like a huge, huge part of gaming. Like I'm getting tired like 2 hours in. And that's when my husband is just starting to get ramped up, and he can go for like 6-10 hours. And by that time I'm just like walking into a wall. And I feel like stamina is a pretty big part of gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had time lately, but it's just, I don't know how people sit there for 12 hours and just, I'm like, I can't do it.
Kudos, honestly. I used to do League of Legends and all that, but again, the time commitment, because I was playing, if you play 4 or 5 games a day, that's like 4 or 5 hours, I mean, potentially, because games can go 45 minutes, like, and it's a lot.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, man.
Well, I have the questions from Twitter.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'll have you pick the best one. All right. Romani Angel 27 sent me 2, so we'll do both of those. All right.
Awesome, thank you.
First one is, do you have a favorite look? I don't know if that means the cosplay or...
A favorite what?
Look, it says.
Oh, they might mean like style or cosplay, I don't know. But favorite cosplay is hard because it's kind of like choosing a favorite child or a favorite pet, because you put so much time and effort and energy into them that like they all feel special to you. But I will say that I do obviously like Poison Ivy because I've done like 5.
Yeah, I saw a couple different ones,
yeah. Yeah, I have a Poison Ivy problem.
Sounds funny.
I know. Pun intended.
And the other question is, what is your happiest cosplay moment, any con, photo shoot, the happiest memory?
Ooh, I don't know. I love any opportunity to work with kids. A few years ago, I had my Elsa costume, and Frozen was just like exploding. And this is actually how I met my friend Stephanie. She does Anna, and so we were asked to do a charity event together. A friend of mine works with a local children's hospital, and they do an event, a holiday event, basically that just promotes play. Like it's just all of the kids and their families, and they just hang out together and play, and it's like the most amazing event. And they have Santa, and they hired a bunch of cosplayers. I mean, they were volunteers, but we had Captain America. They had a couple other like team members from Captain America. Had like a Power Ranger, and then Anna and Elsa. We were very popular that night. But it was just incredible to see like these kids that, you know, are sick and stuff, but they're just so happy and they have such a positive outlook on the world that it really makes you sit there and go, wow, my problems don't mean anything. Like this is this pure little being and they can be happy, like even going through this. So I just like think about that a lot, and like just any memories with kids are definitely like my most meaningful in cosplay.
Cool. You are a good person.
Oh, thanks. That's why I want to do more princess cosplays, because I'm like, man, what do kids recognize these days? Because I want to do something that, you know, they might. So I was like looking at like Disney Descendants and stuff, and I'm like, I need to do a cosplay that like kids know.
All right. I'll have to modify this one because at Greg Wick 2 asked. This is before New York Comic Con. He said, "Will you be at New York Comic Con?" But have you ever been to New York Comic Con?
No, I haven't. I actually traveled to the East Coast for the first time last year. So it's kind of like a new thing for me, even like traveling that far. But I mean, I would love to go. I basically like, I get a lot of questions, you know, are you going to be at my event or this event? The best way to get me there is to email the event coordinators, to tweet them, to comment and suggest me as a guest, and just like kind of let them know like why you want me there or whatever. Because I mean, that's how I get places. I mean, Fan Expo, I'm pretty sure that's how they found me, because somebody was like, hey, I want Alex to be in Dallas, and then one of their coordinators saw it, and then from there I was invited to a couple of their other events. So it definitely helps because they want to give you programming that you like and that you want to see. So I mean, suggest me as a guest, and who knows, maybe magic will happen.
All right, people, you have your homework.
I'm thinking about maybe like penning some kind of letter with like blanks or something, because I know it's hard to like come up with, you know, what to say when you're emailing someone. So I was thinking maybe like I could come up with like a template almost.
There you go. We'll just bombard this country, Canada. All right. At Mr. Riddler6 asks, what is your dream cosplay if money was no object and had all the time to do it?
I have a dream cosplay and I can probably make it happen. It's just very intimidating. Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. She has a red gown that she wears. It's kind of like, are you familiar with the film?
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets invited to this birthday party and everyone knows that she's been like kind of acting badly, and they dress her up in this like crazy red outfit with marabou feathers, and it's very like curve hugging and like lots of rhinestones and stuff. And she walks into the room expecting, you know, for people to be mean to her, and someone actually comes and like is kind to her. So it's like a really interesting moment, and I love that moment in the film. And it's just a stunning dress. It's iconic, and I would love to make it. But in feathers alone, it's like hundreds.
You saw that movie, but you didn't see the Goonies? You're like, oh, the 80s is so old.
1930s for me.
All right. At Strife 01104 asks, when did you first realize you were getting more mainstream recognition as a cosplayer?
Probably when I created a page, because I had previously just been operating on my personal Facebook and just kind of grabbing friends from events and stuff, because I didn't have like followers or anything. I just had friends that I had met in cosplay and stuff. I mean, I met so many people that I still talk to today at my first event. But I think about a year later, I had started going to more and more events and doing more and more costumes. And so people kind of started not like recognizing me, but like maybe like being like, oh, hey, I've seen your stuff around or whatever. Like, because photographers would grab me at events or whatever and put my picture up online. And then it became an issue of anonymity because they would tag my personal Facebook profile and then I would get all these friend requests from people that I didn't know. And so that was the point when I was like, maybe I should create a Facebook page to kind of, you know, divert that and to separate my personal stuff. Because also, like, all of my, you know, not geeky friends were getting so annoyed with my constant updating of, like, my costume progress and stuff. So I was like, you know, let's give them a break and create a separate little. And so then once that page started gaining steam, that's when I was like, wow, this is, like, crazy. Like, people actually care what I do. This is weird. So it was like 2012-ish that I was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah, people love it. All right. At Beamish23 asked, what do you say goes into making a good boudoir style cosplay, maintaining recognition of the character, upping the sexiness, etc.?
I haven't done too many, but like I think that it's like up to your imagination, to be honest, because like you could go like as like skimpy or clothed as you want to. I mean, I did like a boudoir Emma Frost, and so I tried to imagine like instead of like making a boudoir version of her outfit, I tried to imagine what she might wear in the bedroom, and so that's like where I kind of came up with that idea. So I think that it's kind of different for everyone. It depends, because somebody might want to try to make like a boudoir version of her outfit and do like the corset top and like the leggings maybe as like tights or something like that. So like there's just a lot of different like schools of thought, I guess, with this, and like it's kind of whatever you want to do.
So just personal taste and imagination.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, recognition of the character is definitely a good thing. I think that the way that you can do that, honestly, is with the setting. I think the setting will have a lot to do with like character recognition. So.
All right. At Mr. Coconuts asked, have you ever had a cosplay that, looking back, you either thought you could do better or were disappointed in?
All of them. Like as an artist, like we are always like our own worst critic, and people will be like, oh my gosh, this looks so amazing, this is incredible, it's the best thing I've ever seen, and you're like, yeah, but this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong and I messed up here. And it's just like, because you know like the little things that you did when, you know, like you glued that little spot instead of sewing it or whatever, you know, because you know all your little tricks. And you always feel like you can improve. And I think that's a good thing. It's not necessarily that I'm being like hard on myself. It's more that I know that I can eventually do better. And I think that you do every time. I try to add like a new skill every time that I make a cosplay. And I think that's like the main point, as long as you grow and learn with each one.
Well, I think that's why you are so popular, and because, I mean, you have the passion for your craft. That's how you do get better, you know. You have that passion and you say, it's never good enough. That's how.
Yeah. It's not about like putting yourself down. It's just more about like reaching your highest potential almost.
It's always looking for ways to improve.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm really introspective, and I'm really into like change and like self-care and stuff like that. So I'm always very like, when people point out like the flaws in my cosplays, I'm like, oh, trust me, I've gone over this and over this and over this in my head, because I do critique myself that way.
But since you kind of brought that up, I was looking at some of your videos, and I saw one. I think you were talking about having confidence in yourself and believing in yourself, and it really hit me in a certain way, because I mean, it's hard to believe, but before I started podcasting, I would get nervous talking to people I didn't know.
And I think this is a huge problem. It's like something that almost everyone faces, and it's one of the platforms that I'm most passionate about. Like, I think that when you're not confident in your body or yourself, it affects almost every aspect of your life. And I really do want to, you know, kind of use my soapbox to kind of, you know, teach people that, like, you know, you're the only one that gets to define your value, and you're the only one that gets to define your worth. one of my favorite quotes. It's Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And that's just something that I try to drive home. And like that video was just like a little kind of like if someone needs to pick me up or something like that, like hopefully it's helpful. But I mean, eventually I'd like to do talks on this. Like I would love to, do public speaking or even like TED Talks or whatever on this subject of body positivity, self-confidence, body image. I do think a lot of men are left out of the body positivity conversation. And I think that you guys need to be included because, there is an ideal and an unachievable like level of perfection that's expected out of all of us. And so, yeah, I think it's really important to talk about.
I mean, I'm sure you want to build up your own brand and your own social media, but I'll say right now, if you want to do talks here, you're welcome to on our YouTube.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Any platform for like positivity is great. Like I think that we all need a little bit more of it.
So yes, keep that in mind. The door's open.
Thank you.
All right, one more question from at Jason Enos Art. He says, "What? I wanted to end with this. What was the bravest thing you've ever done, and why?"
Quitting school. I was in nursing school. When I had originally wanted to be a journalist, and then it was sort of like a realization of like, hey, journalists aren't really, getting paid right now. And so I ended up going to school for nursing, not entirely being that passionate about science or anything, but it was more that I'm an empathetic kind of person. And I was like, I'd love to help people. And so that was like my main focus. But once I kind of got into school and started getting more into it, I realized like everyone around me was so much more passionate about it. Everyone there lived and breathed this stuff. Like they just were so into it. And then when I finally got into like the actual like clinicals and stuff like that, where you're actually trying, in the hospitals and like working with people, like I'm very empathetic, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do it, because I wanted to help people. But my empathy was sort of a handicap in that situation, because when you have to be that rock for someone, I would be crying. You have to be strong, and you have to be, that you almost have to be an authority figure as a nurse, because you are the bridge between the doctor and the patient. And I just felt that I was, my emotional state was just too... I'm empathetic. Like I was crying all the time. And so basically I was like, I'm not entirely sure if this is for me. And then on top of it, I'm drawing cosplay sketches in my chemistry notebook, So I was just so distracted and so not into it that I was like, you know what, I'm going to regret doing this. And it's a very good paying job, and it's a great career, and like kudos to everyone who made it through nursing school and did that. But once I found out that I wasn't cool with blood, it was like game over. I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave school and just figure this out and see how this is gonna go. And that was the scariest decision, because it's been pounded into my head since I was a child. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna get a degree, you're gonna work your job. And going against that was not a popular decision, but it was honestly like the best decision I ever made. I'm not saying quit school, guys. I'm just saying that for me, it was, and I did try and go back to school to do like communications degree and like something more akin to like what I was doing with cosplay and social media and stuff. But the books that I was reading were written 10 years ago, and it was just, it didn't make sense. And so when school is kind of hindering my passions and hindering how far I could go with this, I was kind of like, you know what, let's try this. Let's go all in, because how am I going to know what I can do with cosplay and modeling and like my platforms and everything unless I go for it 100%. So I just decided to dive in, and that was definitely the scariest, but most rewarding decision that I've ever made.
So you're making your living with cosplaying now, and
yes,
you're living the dream.
It's crazy. Like, and the reason that I felt comfortable enough to do that was because my Patreon and my following and just the income level had reached a point where I was able to support myself. I definitely don't advocate, starving yourself because you're, trying to be a cosplayer or whatever. I was a server. I was a waitress for a really, really long time while going to school. And so I don't want anybody to, like, just be smart, I guess. Like,
but I love it. But you mentioned your Patreon. Do you want to plug that? Tell people where they can find that?
Oh yeah, I've got a Patreon, like most people that cosplay these days. But I started a few years ago, and just kind of as a way to take my cosplay to the next level, because people were asking me to do like crazy projects and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I would really like to make that happen. Let's do it. And then there was the issue of me not being able to open my print shop 24/7. So I really wanted to have a place where people could continuously get prints and get rewards for me, like, while supporting me at the same time. And then I do erotic nudes on there. That's like the $50 tier. So that's like, if you don't want to see that stuff, you're not going to like get like it shoved in your face. But I've always appreciated the female form, and I've always wanted to do it. And it's just another expression of creativity for me. It's like different themes every month. So, but yeah, if you want to check it out, it's just patreon.com/Alexandria the Red. But other than that, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the whole shebang.
Awesome. All right. And before we finish up, would you like to pick one of those? Which one of those questions was the best?
Ooh, I think the last one, honestly, that was a really good question.
That's what I was thinking. All right.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
All right. I will have to contact him on Twitter and tell him he wanted prize packs.
Awesome.
All right. I think that's all I had. Thank you for joining me and everyone watching.
Thank you so much for having me. Seriously, it means a lot that you even reached out to me to do this, because I was like, oh, he knows who I am. That's cool.
Like I said, I saw people sharing your stuff on Facebook, and like I said, you have many, many fans.
It's still weird to me, and I'm very appreciative.
Do you want to plug anything else or any upcoming con appearances? Or?
I'll be at Kamikaze it got renamed. It's Stanley's LA Comic Con now, I think. But that's the weekend before Halloween, so that should be exciting.
Awesome. All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I'm being serious. If you want to do videos for us or any talks or
I would absolutely love to come back and talk with you guys.
Cool. Keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Alexandria the Red. Go support her online at cons.
Go support Capes and Lunatics.
Thank you. All right.
Have a good day, guys.
But yeah, I'll send you the link to this. Feel free to share and keep in touch.
Awesome, I will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, everyone. Alexandria the Red. Great interview, great person. Heard those stories. And she's making a living off this. That's what we all want to do. I have my day job. I wish I could make a living off it. So, another fan who's making a living off of their dream, go support her. And like she said, support the Capes and Lunatics. I love to promote us. If you want to contact us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Our voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, @CapesLunatics. We're doing this we always do this on YouTube if you're listening on the podcast. So subscribe to YouTube and you'll know immediately when we're doing something like this. Alexandria the Red, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me. And if you're a cosplayer, writer, an artist, a musician, and you want to do an interview with us, get a hold of me, nightwingpvp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I am @nightwingpvp. Alright, everyone. For those of you on YouTube, come back at 7 p.m. Eastern. Charlie Esther and I are going to do our weekly super connectivity. Good night.